Hi everyone, this is Mark Vuorinen with the Elora Singers coming to you from my home in Kitchener, Ontario. Like so much of the world right now, we are physically distancing ourselves from each other to help flatten the curve of this global pandemic. We were disappointed to cancel the end of our season, and we're saddened to have had to postpone this summer's Elora Festival. We can't wait to be back together again, when it's safe to do so, to bring you more great music. In the meantime, though, we have some good news. Our newest recording, This Love Between Us, is ready to be shared and will be available in just a couple of weeks. So, a few days ago, I caught up with Reena Esmail, one of the two composers of the music on this recording, at her home in Los Angeles. We had a conversation about what she's been up to during the pandemic, and of course about her piece, This Love Between Us. Good. So, Reena, thank you for joining me here this afternoon. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. You were with us in Elora in July of 2019. Yeah. Has anything in your world changed, since that time?
I mean, it's been interesting because the life of a composer is the life of solitude for the most part. And when we go out into the world, we're not really doing the bulk of our work. We're just kind of enjoying the fruits of our labor. So in a way, it's given me a lot more chance to engage deeply with my work and to do more of that labor. But yeah, no, I mean, it's actually kind of strange how little my life has changed.
It seems like this piece that you've written and now we've recorded is even more necessary for this world than it was, when we first learned it and when we first performed it in July of last year.
Yeah, I think, the music means such different things based on how you're listening to it, where you're from, and I mean, I think I was writing it in a really different world. I was writing it kind of during the 2016 American presidential election. And, I was thinking to myself at that time, we really need to focus on so much of what we have in common and so much of how we treat each other rather than these things that are dividing us. And I mean, that was really my impetus in writing the piece. But I also think, at this time, resources are being divided in certain ways. Some people are being disproportionately affected by things. And at the same time, we all have the same goals to be safe and to be healthy and to be able to do the work that we want to do and have the relationships we want to have with people. And, as this virus situation gets worse and worse and goes on, you can see sometimes people are fighting against each other for the same resources. And I think it's just important to always keep in mind, that we have the common goal of humanity being okay.
Yeah, but the other thing, as I got to know this piece, is that really intrigued me is the way that you've bridged the Eastern world and the Western world of music. And I wondered if you could just talk about that a little bit, maybe some of the challenges that you found in bringing together Eastern instruments with a Western orchestra and so on.
Yeah, I mean, so much of my career, as you know, is about living in the space between, on one side, Western classical or orchestral choral music, and then on the other side, Indian classical music, Hindustani music. And so, for the past decade, I've been dual trained in both these art forms. And so, it's almost like when you speak two languages, and it's not just about the words that you say, it's who you say those words to, what the culture of that place is. There's no language without specific place. I mean, I guess maybe computer programming language, but expressive language, emotional language is a language that's really associated with people in a particular place or in a particular community. And so, so much of what we do, what we say in language is indicative of just our culture and the way we are and our values. And you can learn so much that way. And I think, music is that as well. Music is a language that kind of can be translated, has points where it connects and points where it doesn't connect. And I love that human aspect of it, so when I wrote this piece, it's for, of course, choir and orchestra, Western musicians, and then it has an Indian sitar and tabla player. And, that was the first time I had really ever worked with sitar and tabla for the premiere of this piece in 2017. And I just remember having this feeling, that I could bring the Indian musicians just so far and up to their edge, and I could bring the Western musicians so far and up to their edge. And then it was my job to fill in the middle, you know. So it was really interesting because at the first rehearsal I realized that the Indian musicians wouldn't necessarily be able to follow the conductor, wouldn't know how to come in, and that the Western musicians wouldn't realize that the Indian musicians couldn't do that, and then wouldn't be able to hear what was going on. So basically, I sat with the sitar and tabla player and just sang the sitar parts just so the conductor could kind of hear and the connection could be made. So, over the years, I've played different roles of being the intermediary to just sit with the musicians and make sure they're comfortable and, cue the conductor back and forth, as you know. And I love that. It feels like almost like I'm a translator that's translating between people from two different cultures in real time.